Armed with only your wits and a pair of stealthing goggles, it's your job to sneak your way through a deadly facility that's determined to extinguish your fragile little life. Welcome to episode 26 of the 5 T's of Stealth, where we will be discussing Stealth Bastard Deluxe. Once again, the 5 T's include tasks, terrain, tools, threats, and tension. These are what I consider to be the fundamentals of stealth gaming. Stealth Bastard Deluxe has a structure similar to Portal. You play as a clone that is completing test rooms to field test stealth products. There are 8 total sectors, each with 8 individual levels. Actually, there's 10 levels per sector, but only 8 by default. To unlock the last levels of each sector, you must find the collectible and achieve an S rank on each individual mission. At least that's how it appears, but I didn't really care to go back through each level and accomplish this, so I only played through the 8 standard missions. Your objective throughout the game and in each level is to hack terminals which will unlock an escape door. The number of terminals on each level will vary, and some terminals will alter the map as you progress. Now, I could talk about the different ways to complete each level and how every sector adds a new enemy or mechanic, but ultimately, I think these aspects will be a better fit in their respective sections. However, I will say that this game functions very similarly to a puzzle game, so most of the levels follow the similar but different approach. Something I really appreciated throughout my playtime was the narrator. Calling it a narrator is definitely a bit of a stretch, as they don't actually talk, but rather writing will appear on the walls all throughout the game when you enter a new section or when you fail. This writing will hint that this person is sort of an overseer of the project and is watching all that you do. Most of the writing will be taunting you, saying things like, "Are you even taking this seriously?" When you complete the final mission, your reward is not exactly a reward. It turns out you were testing the stealth goggles, and now that you've completed all the missions, the company retrieves the goggles from you and then disposes of you. You are simply one of countless disposable clones, and they will get rid of as many as they need. Honestly, I really appreciated the comedic tone of this company all throughout the game, and it was a bit of a highlight. As I mentioned, Stealth Bastard leans heavily into the puzzle game identity. This is usually a big benefit for level design, as a more puzzle-focused structure instantly means each map will be unique. Now, of course, this means bad puzzles will fundamentally ruin the experience, but fortunately I can say that wasn't the case here, and some missions actually had some really unique trap implementation. A complaint I do want to mention is something similar to El Hijo, which was covered in episode 24, and that is the lack of visual clarity. A big aspect of this game is jumping onto these pitch black platforms, and sometimes these can be so difficult to see, leading to confusion and, on occasion, failure. For starters, we have yet another game with a heavy focus on staying in the shadows. Shouldn't be much of a surprise for a stealth game, I suppose. In Stealth Bastard, you have a pair of goggles which will indicate how hidden you are in said shadows. Green is invisible, yellow is partially visible, and red is fully visible. There's also text at the bottom of the screen that will appear as the colors change. Focusing on the basics, we've got to jump, crouch, and can hang on ledges. We can also flip switches to open doors, operate lifts, or activate traps, and we can push this game's version of a crate around the map. If the angle is right, you can push these crates off a ledge and destroy an enemy underneath, but I will say this was a pretty rare occurrence. In Stealth Bastard, you have access to 5 different unlockable suits: a camo suit, decoy, sonic decoy, anti-light, and teleporters. And I'm here to tell you that I didn't play with any of them. These suits can only be unlocked from repeatedly completing the same test over and over. And I wasn't about to go repeat everything constantly, especially considering it appears to be test specific. So you have to complete every single mission 4 or 5 times to unlock everything, and I'm definitely not doing that. The first suit, the camo suit, appeared to be unlocked after completing the sector, but again I felt no real reason to repeat these same levels just for a suit that'll help me complete the same level yet again just a little more easily. Truthfully, I'm a pretty big hater for this type of system, especially in a game like this. I'm all for earning my tools and whatnot, but not if I'm just solving the same puzzle repeatedly. Hopefully, this is all just a big misunderstanding on my part, and the system is actually much better than this, but I won't be the one to find out. So when it comes to the dangers of this game, there's 2 different categories I'd like to divide things into. Firstly, we've got the actual robot enemies, and secondly, we will focus on traps or puzzle mechanics. When it comes to robot enemies, we've got 7 things to discuss. We start simple with cameras. Cameras have a vision cone, and if you enter it, they will either lock the doors in the area or activate a trap. Some stare in one location with no movement, while others will pan across an area. Next, we have turrets. Turrets function exactly like cameras, except they shoot you. Next, we've got the simple basic boy, the robot. Robots are enemies that move in one direction until they can go no further, and then turn around to do the same. These guys also have a vision cone and will blast you if you enter it. The interesting thing about robots is how you can manipulate their pathing to benefit yourself. You can raise a platform by flipping a switch, which will effectively trap them on a button you need pressed. Following that, let's discuss patrollers. These are basically flying little drones with a vision cone and a set path. If you step into their vision cone even a little, they will start to chase you until they confirm what they saw and blast you. Next is the red drones. These guys can't see, but if they hear anything, they will immediately turn and start blasting. They seem to actually pre-fire and will drag their laser across the map, and I got caught in the crossfire several times. Introduced in the last sector, we've got the Seekers. Seekers can instinctively sense you across the entire map if you are in the light, and will slowly move towards your location. However, if you are in the shadows, they won't move at all. Lastly, and appearing in the final mission of each sector, is a boss. I'm not actually sure how they refer to the boss, other than just the boss. The boss is a giant orb-like robot in the middle of the map that can see across the whole stage if their vision isn't obstructed, and has what appears to be almost like a second observation circle, which will sense you and cause the actual eye to turn towards you. The boss itself does not move, it's only its vision that changes directions. Again, entering the vision cone is pretty much game over. Switching over to the second category, let's now discuss the traps or puzzle mechanics. As mentioned in tools, you can flip switches to open doors, operate lifts, or activate traps. In some missions, flipping switches at the right time will be crucial. Next, there are sensors in this game that function the same way as switches. Sensors can appear on the ground, ceiling, or even on a wall, and as I mentioned, you can even get robots to activate the sensors for you. Pushing crates onto a sensor is also a regular occurrence. The third thing that once again functions similarly is motion sensor lasers. If you walk into these lasers, they can do the same as switches and sensors. A unique variation of these motion sensors is what the game refers to as a slide. Slides are platforms connected to the motion sensors and will slide across the line when activated. These can be vertical or horizontal and also provide a momentum boost specifically on the vertical slides. If you time your jump correctly as it's moving up, the slide will launch you and can be used to reach higher platforms. Next up, we've got hard light. Hard light is a green light that only blocks clones. This basically acts like a barrier for you while still allowing the different enemies to move through it and potentially chase you. Next, let's talk teleporters. I think everybody knows what a teleporter is and does. In this game, every teleporter is connected to another, and figuring out which teleporters connect is the challenge. They basically function like portals. Following that, there are some noisy floors. Every step you take will create a sound, as well as jumping off the floors or landing onto them. You can crouch to move silently on these floors, but jumping will still make a sound. Lastly, on some missions, there will be other clones you have to work with and even sacrifice to proceed on the level. Typically, the other clone will be above you and you'll alternate unlocking doors for one another until they start messing you up and you have to kill them. Aside from these two categories, I want to of course mention that figuring out how to solve each puzzle is part of the difficulty, and some mechanics and levels are much harder than others. Another thing to mention would be the platforming aspect of this game, as some levels will require you to make specific jumps. As I've mentioned several times now, Stealth Bastard Deluxe has a heavy emphasis on puzzle solving. Now, puzzles don't usually have me on the edge of my seat, but they can definitely still be difficult, and there were some levels here that were a challenge. Ultimately though, I never felt truly challenged like I would in a genuine puzzle game. Does Stealth Bastard keep a good balance of stealth and puzzle gameplay? I would say yes, but the stealth aspects of this game can also be less than challenging. I do like the blend of both genres, considering that completing puzzles is definitely more difficult when you can't afford to be seen by an enemy. Enemies then become an additional puzzle mechanic and will provide some extra tension. Many missions in this game would require precise timing, including in some platforming challenges. However, This is nothing compared to the precision required in Master Spy, which I covered in episode 16. Now that is some difficult precision. Adding up all three of these genres does make for a decently compelling level of tension, but I would say I was feeling pretty burnt out by the end of the game. The puzzles were definitely unique, but with each mechanic having so much time in the spotlight, no matter how much you remix them, it starts to get a little old. The tension was definitely much higher on some levels, with more enemies breathing down your neck, but as this game has such a big focus on puzzling and platforming, there are plenty of times when stealth just takes a back seat. One other complaint I want to mention is regarding the quick saves or checkpoints. I'm not exactly sure how this game words it. This was a problem I actually only noticed on the final boss mission, but the game would respawn my character directly in the path of a seeker, so every time I spawned, I was immediately blasted again. I mean, I literally could not even move before getting blasted, and the final mission took so much longer because of that. I had to restart the level 2 or 3 times and pray for no mistakes in the same location because it was in fact the same spot every time. Another little bug I encountered was on Sector 7 Mission 1. At a certain point in the level, you flip a switch and a laser starts moving around the room, and if you don't move fast enough, you'll be trapped and killed. When the laser starts, it's supposed to lift an elevator above it, but several times it just doesn't lift a damn thing, and I had no choice but to wait for the laser to kill me and hope it would work next time. I enjoyed many aspects of Stealth Bastard Deluxe, but again, I definitely started to burn out towards the end as I was tired of the puzzle mechanics. There was nothing nearly as compelling as Portal, Cocoon, or Viewfinder in terms of the actual puzzle game design, and even compared to other stealth puzzle games like Dark Crypt and Gunpoint, Stealth Bastard simply falls flat. Overall, still an experience worth playing, but I find myself hesitant to start the sequel as HowLongToBeat.com shows the game is almost twice as long, and I can't imagine what it does so differently to justify that runtime. I am cautiously optimistic about Stealthing 2, as Stealth Bastard failed to really wow me, but ultimately still provided a solid stealth game.